Thanks for joining me today for another epistemology read. Today is going to be on the flame. I'm actually super excited to do this reading. The flame is something that this is a read that I have been sitting on for probably about a month and a half now. So before I get into the reading for this, I kind of want to get into my vision, because this energy has been calling to me really lightly, very mildly. And it really is more like, I think it's someone who has like lost their spark, who has they feel brokenhearted in some way, or they feel like they're surrounded by some kind of darkness, right? And it feels as if someone, because what I was envisioning, right, is like, and I'm gonna like sneeze, my nose is about to go crazy in a second. I was envisioning someone who was like enshrouded by darkness. And they did have kind of this, it was like a Jekyll and Hyde type of energy to them, where there was a very like meek, mild, almost childlike version of them. And this person was like they had this light glow of kind of like a light turquoise, very ethereal, because it was like turquoise and white light. It almost kind of reminded me of like the aurora lights. And it kind of coated this person, but not like a crystalline armor, but not to a point where it was like fully tangible. It just seemed like a coating of some type. And then there was this other portion of their personality that was very dark, very malicious energy. It actually felt dominating, but it felt like that domination was, it felt kind of like serial killery, to be honest. It felt like something, like a shadow that someone has really been hiding, and that shadow is just kind of, instead of dealing with it or coping with it in order to shrink it, that shadow has just kind of consumed a portion of this person's light. It actually might be a main reason why this person, it felt like a masculine energy, because again, it was like Jekyll and Hyde, but it was like it had consumed this person and it had twisted their whole self-view and self-image. So they're unable to like get this spark up for themselves. And I could like see them trying, because originally what brought me towards this person was it was like a lighter click. It was like tss, tss, tss. And I could see like the flintstone crack and like the little pop, but nothing actually came out of it. It was a very it was a scary energy to be in, because my normal, like when I do my normal typical meditations, I often find myself in a garden. That's what I've created for myself. That's where I feel comfortable, a little garden with a stream. This person, it felt like we were in some type of third party, like mutual space, It was very metallic and cold, and it actually I remember seeing like doors on the sides, and wanting to leave towards the left one, which felt more like my own energy. It was very interesting. I felt like I was being interrogated by this more dominant energy, while this more meek and mild energy was trying to like shoo me out, or I don't even really understand. It was like they were watching in vain, watching this like evil portion of themselves hurt me in vain. It was very strange to me. And so I remember I actually prayed about this situation, because it was such an intense vision that just kind of kept growing. Every time I tried to meditate, it would like it was like that meek version of it was like just kind of grabbing the side of my shirt, pulling at me, but not in a way where they're like trying to get me to help. I don't know, it was weird. It was very strange. It was like they needed a witness, or maybe someone just to tell them that like that version, that portion of yourself needs to be dealt with. But not only that, it's not as bad as you think it is. Like they really seem to demonize themselves based on this more like dominating internal force that they've got. This could also be like addiction, for example, It felt very violent. Hence my Jekyll and Hyde accusation. It felt incredibly like an energy that was very satisfied to see me hurt or cry. It did not feel good. I will admit that. So I remember after I had prayed about this, when they pulled me again, I felt this urge to give them like my own little flame, my own little spark. Try to light up whatever shadows are in here, because I couldn't really see. Everything was like enshrouded by darkness, even though there's like these abstract energies that are around me that I can kind of sense, but I'm not able to actually look at anything. So I brought in my own light to this situation for a little exposure. And exposure is the key word here. And I knew that even when I did it, I was like, oh, this light, it exposes them. It exposes the shadow side, or where the shadow side is coming from. And I have not wanted to dig any deeper into this energy because of that. Because there was something catastrophic that happened in the energy that kind of released me from whatever responsibility I had. I think I was meant to bring light to the situation, which is totally fine. But because I've been sitting on this energy for like a month and a half, and it hasn't really left me, I am going to go ahead and get into this tarot reading. Sorry that was so much. I just very much feel that it's going to be important to this reading. It's a lot of context, I feel. So we're going to move in with the flame. In Sanskrit, the word for flame is Agni. The ancient yogis saw the flame at the center of the abdomen and believed it to be responsible for our vitality. When it is lit, we are connected to our purpose and sense that life is a sacred gift. It is said that those who cannot see the sacred around them have let their inner flame go out. Think of this card as a call to reignite that fire, to cup your hands gently around the things you've forgotten and protect the flame no matter how harshly the winds around you blow. It could be an inner archetype that begs you to light its wick. It is likely that the poet, the mystic, or the shaman would call to you with the language of the flame. And one of its shadow sides here is complete darkness. And that was exactly what I was kind of getting when I was entertaining or engaging with this energy. It was like shrouded in this almost like dark coal mist. Very uncomfortable. It felt not exactly dirty, but there was a lot of shame being invoked. So I want to go ahead and take a deeper look at this person's energy, and I kind of experience. Okay, purr. And I see my energy. I also see my energy at the back of the deck with that lamb. Cute. Here's my energy. Purr, that phoenix. Yeah, clearly the flame coming out. I do feel like something here was ignited. And we have the gazelle and the horse. So there is something. There's that Jekyll and Hyde again. Look at that. The gazelle and the horse. It's like the wild side and the tame side. Oh, interesting. And it's almost like the wild side is armed, but the tame side is just... What I find really interesting about this is that the gazelle talks about heightened intuitive awareness in spiritual sense. I believe this is a fire sign, so Aries, Sagittarius, Leo. This feels like the meek energy, though. The mild energy. This horse feels very dominating, very grounded. It's almost as if this person's logic overrides their emotions. Or maybe like their desires will override their like standards or their morals. No, I don't see that. I see something about like their wild side being the better side of them, actually. But they don't know how to control it. And maybe that's kind of the issue. I'm like this. I'm incredibly repressed as a person. And I like it that way. Like, genuinely, I do. I like the fact that I'm very non-reactive. But sometimes I do see, like, my friends who are reactive, or even family members that are reactive, and I get this kind of, like, not exactly envy, but I'm like, wow, like, I wish I could. I wish I could let myself do that. But I like, restrain myself a lot just because I'm a thinker, I'm not a doer. I am much more likely to think about a situation for 3 weeks than to, like, you know, confront it. Kind of with this energy as well. Like, I sat on this for a month and a half before I was like, okay, now that it's kind of seemed to have resolved itself, let's dig into it a little bit deeper. With this horse, this feels very grounded, practical, but it feels dominating. It feels dominating and it feels cold. Like heavy footsteps. There's something like really weighted on this person. And maybe that's why they justify it. They justify like this almost violent force of dominance. You know, it's like they're a force of nature. They use this like dominance to justify, or they do something to justify this dominance. There's like some way that they are twisting it, where they're like, I have to act like this. It feels like survival mode. Interesting. I actually feel almost as if this person was happier when they were in a more chaotic situation, because then this reactive side had a purpose. And now it actually seems like things have really calmed down, but they're very unsatisfied. They actually feel quite drained. Yeah, because when we look at this gazelle, ooh, this is nice. When I look at this gazelle, look at that background, that circle background. Beautiful coloration, gradient there, that orange to yellow. But look at the horse. It's been crunched. It's been like brought down to size. It's been harnessed. Oh, I was picking that's what that's from. This morning, I was picking up on this message where it's like, it's not enough just to like harness energy. You act like there's no point in putting a harness on a dog if you're not going to take him for a walk, you know? So Spirit's like, sure, like you can ground yourself, but what are you going to do with that? This person seems to have a lot of, yeah. I feel like they miss, maybe they just need a little bit of spontaneity in their life, though. This person feels very self-destructive, actually. I feel like they feel a lot of shame for this more wild side, for whatever they repress. And as a result, it kind of flares up in their, could be a professional life, or somewhere where they have some type of image that they project. Again, it's that Jekyll and Hyde. It's that Jekyll and Hyde energy. So yeah, and my whole, again, I feel like my entire responsibility in this situation was just like bring a little light, shine a little light on the shadows here. On the fact that maybe they actually don't have to hide this part of them. Maybe it's acceptable. And I think they need to consider that this wild part that they have, that they miss actually, that they wish they had still, it can be harnessed and it can be tamed properly. Yeah, this is kind of giving me the energy of like you were a girl in your 20s who would go out, you know, every single weekend, and then, you know, you got married and you kind of miss going out with your girls every now and again. And a healthy response to this would be just like contacting your girls, maybe doing like a brunch, doing like a weekend vacation with all your partners, you know, something like that that would be compatible to where you're at now. But this person doesn't do that. It seems like their quote unquote reasonable solution is to like act wild and try to hide it, and then feel immense shame for that and have to clean up. But then when they're cleaned up, they feel like caged and dodgy, because they really do kind of want to let this wild side out. So I feel like it's building resentment, but it's almost like self-resentment, which might lead to self-sabotage here, because they might not feel like they are deserving of it. And I feel like, while this is my energy, I feel like it's shown a light on the energy of someone else in their life who brought them a lot of light, actually. And I think that they're part of the reason why this person feels such a need to coat themselves, to cover themselves in darkness. I think that there was someone who shone a really big light, maybe showed them that it's acceptable, that they are still lovable. Like this wild side of theirs is still absolutely lovable. And I think that that didn't mesh well with whatever, again, it's like their ego. I'm not getting so much ego, it's more or less just very curated, which obviously is ego, I'm sorry, but it is a very like curated persona that they project out into the world that I think has gained them some type of notoriety, success, status quo, or it's just something that they feel, that's where they feel comfortable, that's where they feel controlled. But this gazelle it just gallops into the herd and messes everything up, they feel like. But someone here in their life really showed them that like it is possible to love that part of you. In fact, I think this person liked that part of you. So let's get a little bit more. I'm going to actually go with my chakra oracle deck here. Just one or two. We have abundance. Yeah, I do feel like this horse, this person is really worried that if they do kind of, if they find a way to make proper time and to cope with their wild side, they might lose some type of abundance here that they've gotten professionally. Yeah, it's kind of funny, in a way. Yeah, it's like this person built, it's like a house of cards, but they like built it on a lie. Yeah, facade. Because this like grounded, this like external that they push out really isn't them. And I feel like they actually do feel quite a bit of shame about it. It actually almost seems like it was this facade or this version of themselves was curated for a family member or maybe a partner. And they've been in it too long. It's like they've been wearing this mask so long they can't take it off anymore. It's stuck to the skin. But the pores underneath are like filled with pus and they're pushing this mask off. And I think that's why this person doesn't want to be seen. Like I said, there's something like really gory or violent or gross about this energy. This person feels like not exactly a victim. They feel like they're in a very bad state. And they don't want anybody to see that. We have bittersweet at the back of the deck. When I cut it, we have vanity. Yeah, this person, it's like they couldn't drop this mask, and I feel like someone walked away from them because of it. It's very bittersweet, but they're starting to see now that I feel like they feel that they can't live without this person's light. Because without it, they just have so much darkness. They want to learn how to love their darkness. They just don't really know how to yet. Okay, I've got 3, 4. We have table and riches, both in reverse. This person is really worried that they'll lose some kind of status quo, some kind of position of authority, some type of abundance, riches, a paycheck, etc. They are very worried about positioning within society. There's that ego flaring up, yeah. And actually, I think this wild side can be useful at times, but I don't think this person feels comfort in letting it be seen. We have water in reverse here. And then we have betrayal in reverse here. Yeah, it's like this person couldn't water the connection between you two. They were too focused on elevation. They were too focused on their own success, on bettering themselves. They couldn't like be real with you. Yeah. They feel like there's not peace between you two. It's very interesting. Because I don't know if I'm talking to the flame directly or if I'm talking, because this could be, again, this is a general reading, so it could be for multiple people. This could be like a situation where you're wondering why someone maybe has been ignoring you or has gone no contact. This could also be like, sorry, one of my decks just started moving. That was really weird. It could also be like a love situation or maybe even a professional situation. Maybe you worked with someone and you started to kind of see their true colors. Something real quirky about this person that they didn't really want you to see, and so they might be like avoiding you as a result. Let me get 1 or 2. Quirky is the word for it. This person is very, very quirky. You have a sacral chakra. You have wisdom, deception, and envy. This person has a lot of egoism to deal with, a lot of materialism that they need to deal with. We have wisdom and sacral chakra in reverse. This person, like, it's their wild side that they repress so much. It seems to be, it's almost like it's cut off their intuition. Maybe this more authentic, I keep saying wild, but it's not wild. It just feels like genuine. It's just like who they actually are, rather than like filtering and curating everything that they do. This has like strong Libra energy, ironically. I'm a Libra, okay? So I'm allowed to judge us. Libras are like crazy calculated, and curated, especially because we're all about aesthetic. We're ruled by the planet of Venus, which is all about beauty, you know, and aesthetic and perfection. So this person feels like they could have a Libra placement, maybe a Libra Mars. This does feel like Libra Mars energy, where they want to be fair to everybody, and they want to, it could be like a later degree Libra Mars, where it's like 26 through 29 degrees here. Yeah. It almost like, I want to like chuckle at this person because it's like, they know it, but they like can't stop because they're worried about losing something here. But I feel like the longer that they stay in this curated form, the more like danger they're in, or the more drained they are, or the more cut off they are from their own intuition. I actually think that this person comes towards this like wild side, their like authentic self, when they need to get back in touch with their own well, with their own flame, with their own source. But since they repress that side of themselves so hard, unless it's useful, or maybe unless it's going to be appreciated, which they're scared it's not going to be, it's like they repress it so hard that they snuff out their own flame. And so as a result, they become codependent on other people's flames. But I think that they're actually quite strong. It's like spiritually, this person is quite strong. They just need to, yeah, they need to focus on their heart chakra. I feel like they focus too much on this, on the crown. Maybe in the sacral chakra as well. Maybe their sexuality. This could be something like maybe they're in the closet. You know? That feels, yeah, that's right on the noggin for someone here. Someone here is like into the same gender and is incredibly ashamed of it. Does not want that to get out. Is very scared they'll lose their status if it does. So yeah, it could be like sexuality. But it's really, it has to do with the heart. And that's kind of, they're like directing their energy in the wrong area. Or they're directing their shame in the wrong area. And it's cutting their intuition off. This person needs to take a good look inside. Person, yeah, they might be in the closet. That's, yeah. I'm curious. I'm curious. Let me be curious. Oh, we have the snake. We have competition, enemy, malicious, clever, look over your shoulder, the other woman. This person might also be a cheater. Yeah. Maybe they like have this reputation as being like a player or something, and they don't want to give that up. Can I get one or two more? What else is going on? What else could this be? We have healthy choices in reverse. We also have the golden mirror in reverse, which is self-absorbed and a narcissist. This person is really, it's actually sad. This person is like in an abusive relationship with themselves. And I actually feel like this, again, it feels like it was curated from childhood, from a young age, maybe to like soothe or sate a narcissistic parent. This person is like terrified of being themselves. They feel very desperate to keep their options open or to keep some kind of like moral, something improper here, morally going on. Something they know is wrong. We've got the hammer. It's all sabotage. Okay, I asked, just knock it out of my hand. Rude. We have the hammer. Yeah, it's all about sabotage. But they're working on it. I think that they're starting to, they want to be able to see it. Previously, it's like they were keeping themselves blind to it because it was really uncomfortable. But again, the longer that they do that, the more their intuition gets cut off, the more that they have to like reach out and pull from other people, which I don't think is this person's natural state. I don't think being a soul taker is this person's natural energy. But they might have been in a survival state where they felt like that's what they had to do, especially if they were raised by a narcissist. I feel like they do have some narcissistic traits here that they really need to take a look at and come to terms with and correct in their behavior. They need to heal their heart. They need to stay away from dating until they do. Yeah. This person is very worried that if they are like their genuine self, they will be ousted. Yeah, separated from something that they've worked hard for. But honestly, I don't see a way where this, it's funny. It's like, what did you expect was going to happen? It's like it's obvious, you know? There's something here that's obvious to other people that they're not really, oh, my ear's going off, that they're really not seeing. Maybe that other people can kind of see this Jekyll and Hyde energy. Maybe they're kind of erratic as well. I know that narcissistic people do become very, very erratic when their mask is pulled off. And so, but I also think that maybe like looking at the fact that this mask has been on so long makes this person erratic. This feels lightly kind of like an identity crisis. Like this person just, they don't really know who they are without this mask. And when they look and see who they are, when they see like the clues to it, maybe they've associated the wrong things with their true self. They could have done this to like bury the shame. Yeah, this person doesn't really know who they are. And they need to dig deeper, even if it's uncomfortable. They need to like take a good, hard look at themselves. And they need to find a way where they can like bridge this gap between who they portray themselves to be and who they actually are. And they need to find a way to bridge that. And I think that there is a way that they can do this without everything falling apart, but it is going to require some like radical honesty on their part, and I think that radical honesty has to come from within on their side. And I think that's the whole point of this. This person feels as if they're kind of getting close to rock bottom. They may have had to hit rock bottom, but I do see them finding a way to relight their own wick with this phoenix here. The phoenix is about rising from the ashes. So this person is worried that if they were that they're going to be ousted if they're real. But I see them being ousted regardless due to some erratic behavior caused by this almost dissonance of self. This like duality, this split between self. This person might feel like they need medication. Or maybe they've gone off their medication. Yeah, again, I'm channeling for multiple people, so it could be take what resonates, leave what doesn't. We have fulfillment of wishes coming out. With spiritual strength behind it. This person's being tested. Yeah, I feel like they're actually being initiated, is what it feels like. This does feel like Spirit is trying to pull them towards their spiritual path, because this person's been far from it for a while. And I think that this feels like they are being prepared for an awakening. I didn't mean to just hit you, I'm sorry. Okay, well darned. I'll be darned. I'll use this deck. Why not? Let me just get a couple. We'll move on to the tarot here. 5 of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, yeah, they did hit some kind of absolute rock bottom here. Maybe they were exposed in some way. They feel like they may have been left out in the cold, but I see them kind of starting to bounce back from that. And my 10 of Swords. Ooh, there it is, again in the snow. Interesting. Maybe something happened over winter that left them, like, bleeding. And I feel like they intuitively knew this was coming. This feels like they got caught. But it's subtle. It's like someone caught a whiff of something. Of, like, some of their insincerity. Or disingenuity. I don't know how that's pronounced. They're being very disingenuous. Someone caught it. They, like, sniffed it out. And I think that this put them into, like, a state of worry. Because, yeah, it was like their mask. Like, someone peeked under the mask. And they didn't know that the mask could even come off. In fact, I don't even think they knew that it was a mask. Until someone, like, saw their whole face. And now they're like, ah! We have these 7 of Pentacles. Yeah, they want to, like... They have a lot of eyes on them. And they want to harvest something from that. They're trying to get some kind of boon or treasure, payment, recognition, opportunity. They're trying to get something by pushing this like false narrative of who they are. We have the Sun. Some kind of commitment might be involved. A contract, commitment, and a relationship. A lot of dark-haired feminines are involved. We have the Two of Pentacles in reverse. This person, like, it's like they dropped everything. Because they're not getting that they fumbled it. It's almost like they heard something so shocking. But they had to maintain this, like, stoic look. It's almost like something happened to this person that really shook them, but they couldn't react in the moment. But then it's like when they got home, because I'm seeing something really violent. It's like because this is what I'm envisioning. It's like someone looks at their phone when they're in public or they're with friends, and they see something that, like, shakes them to their core, and it really activates their heart and throat chakra in a way where it's like, I'm like seeing someone like, like they look at it and like the vibe changes. It switches quickly, and then they, like, get it together. They, like, shove it down. That actually, like, made this whole portion of my body hurt in, like, a line. That was weird. It's like they shove it down, and then when they get home, they're, like, screaming, sobbing into a pillow, like, in the most intense reaction. This is strange. This is, again, it's violent. There's something, it's like self-violence. This person regularly engages in some type of, like, emotional self-violence, and it's kind of ruined their life. And they might have learned this from a parent. We have my Six of Cups. Yeah, that's, like, childlike energy. That's immaturity. There might be a child involved, because I have a baby, I have 2 babies and a toddler. Someone might be blonde or brunette, because I have 3 brunettes, 2 blondes, and someone with silver black hair. Something here is, it was like a learned behavior from childhood that I think is, like, actually ruining their life, and I think it's making it very hard for them to have genuine relationships, and I think that's all this person really wants. I think that their life feels very dark because they don't have that. They want a community that they can trust, that doesn't reflect back this, like, narcissistic behavior, but they themselves, they could not physically join a group like this. They couldn't join a healthy community because they've got this snake, this competition energy, this, like, it's like a slimy underbelly to this person. We have my Knight of Cups. They do want to vocalize some type of, yeah, they felt like it was an injustice to break someone's heart. Possibly, potentially, because they were, like, holding everything in. This person might want to share how they're feeling. Then we have my Four of Cups on the back of the deck. They're kind of wishing, wanting, yearning, looking back at the past, maybe looking at ways they could have been more genuine, that they could have corrected something. But I kind of also get the sense it's more fixated on this, whatever this catalyst energy was, where, like, someone, they kind of wish someone didn't see under the mask, or they wish they didn't show them. Because I feel like they wanted to show someone what's under the mask. I feel like they did. And I feel like while this person, like, you know, may have slipped the mask up to look, I feel like they offered it to them. They were like, go ahead, take a peek. I like you. Like, this is so cute. This person really does have such, like, a sweet, nearly childlike energy. But there's also some, like, dominating, destructive force in them as well that has been, I feel like, implanted there by someone else. I'm guessing, like, a parental figure. This reminds me, I've actually talked about this before, where, like, I was seeing this guy for a bit, and he was, like, screaming at me about something. I don't know. And I was, like, very non-reactive in the moment, because I couldn't take him seriously, because when I looked at him, all I could see was, like, his parents yelling at him and treating him the exact same way. And I was just like, oh, like, you just have bad coping skills. Like, you just didn't learn to cope past that. And that's kind of what this person has to realize is, like, they've taken a lot of their I'm hearing, like, this person is just like their mom or their dad. And that, I think that would make them want to throw up. I think that would really make this person angry, to know or to hear that. This would set them off, is what I'm getting, if you were to tell them that they're acting like their mom or their dad. But I think that's true. I think that they absorbed this behavior, this learned behavior from them, and it's kind of ruining their fucking life the same way that it kind of ruined the relationship that they have with their parent. And I don't think they're willing to do the work necessary to kind of process that. Okay, well, this is getting lengthy, so I'm going to grab some self-care, and then I think that's where I'm going to leave this off. Can I just get one or two? If you'd like to book a private reading with me, I am available on Etsy for 15, 30, and 45-minute long readings. I also do have my potpourri and my altar boards available for sale on my Etsy, along with other tarot products. Alright, I'm dropping just everything. For this self-care, it looks like we have plan a vacation. This person might want to come see you. I'm not even getting you. I'm getting the sense that they want to go see this person who had, like, lit them up before. They want to explain something to them. Maybe even offer them some kind of justice. Yeah. They want to tell them, but I feel like they do still want to keep a lot of things hidden. And they know that it's going to be difficult to keep things hidden from this person. So there's this, like, kind of conflict. There's this internal conflict of, like, I need to make things right, but if I make things right, that means, like, I'm actually doing this. I'm actually, like, taking these steps towards, like, being my authentic self, which is something I'm really, really scared of, and I don't really have many defense mechanisms for. And what if it doesn't work out? Like, there's a lot of... This person might think, they might catastrophize really hard. We have create art, or they're always thinking about the ways things could go wrong. And we also have make a meal. Yeah, this person needs to get out of their head. Okay, well, that's what I'm seeing for you today, so thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!